Macron, by the way, Emmanuel Macron made this flip-flop individual, by the way, made statements in regards to Russia. If previous weeks, by the way, Macron was pushing for further escalation with Russia and was trying to lead charge against Russia, competing in that with Starmer, British Prime Minister. Well, now we have this report that EU member states should consider resuming contacts with Moscow, which was severed after the escalation of the Ukraine conflict in 2022. French President Emmanuel Macron has told the reporters. According to Macron, despite being fully committed to boosting military capabilities within NATO, the bloc's European members have no wish to endlessly arm themselves and should in the near future negotiate a new security framework with Moscow. And wow, wow. It was a Russian president, by the way, that in 2021, 2020, even 2022, before escalation, before military escalation, before special military operation started, and many years ago, by the way, since 2007, I will say even, when Putin made this historical speech in Munich during the security conference, Moscow was always talking about necessity to create a just, adequate security framework in this world, including on European theater, right? And he was ignored, by the way. And who ignored this proposal from Russia? Western leadership, collective West countries, and now Macron is talking about a new security framework. I mean, really, these people are total joke, isn't it? I mean, really, these people are joke, man. You cannot take them seriously. And I would not be surprised, and probably none of you, if tomorrow, very same Macron, by the way, will give a speech and again brag about further escalation against Russia and how they're gonna become more hostile and that kind of crap, right? So what is going on? How imagine you are in Russian leadership. How would you deal with such a people, man? I mean, you are president or foreign minister or prime minister. It's your job, isn't it, to, even if you don't want to, but to have talks with the leaders of other countries, right? Including in the collective West. And in the collective West, I mean, there is such a people in power, formally at least. We all understand that real power brokers are in shadows, right? And there are people that are in position of power, like presidents, prime ministers, and so on. They are puppets, right? But nevertheless, they are officials, and they are representing policies of their masters, right? So maybe you don't want to have any talks with them, but you have to, right? You have to deal with these people. And how would you do it? I mean, if you are a Russian president, what you would do, man? I mean, how are you going to deal with Macron? That today is saying one thing, tomorrow other, something else, next day again something different. Or what is the point? How you would deal with any other country in the collective West that are changing their stance literally on daily basis? It's impossible. It's just impossible, man. You cannot have agreements with these people because they will break it straight away. Right? So this is the situation, by the way. Too bad that we are facing this reality, but it's objective, isn't it? And after all, you remember a couple of months ago there was a kind of big deal in the media that officials of current administration were telling their colleagues from NATO countries that, you know what, don't worry about Ukraine joining NATO. Now I mean, maybe Trump is opposing this today, but tomorrow they're going to be new administration. So today we will agree on one thing, and then we will change it, right? We will dismiss our previous agreements. That's their take, by the way. They are always trying to use diplomacy, to use any agreement to fool you, right? That's the strategy, man, of collective West countries, and you can trace this strategy through centuries. Actually, it's nothing new, really. Anyways, Tass News Agency is reporting that EU summit agrees to extend anti-Russian sanctions for next 6 months. European Union summit agreed, and after NATO summit, by the way, EU summit began. So agreed upon the extension of anti-Russian sanctions for the next 6 months. European diplomat source told the reporters there is a consensus to extend restrictive measures against Russia at the summit. This source told, and also reports are coming in that EU member states most likely will prolong these sanctions against Russia. Hardly anyone doubts that, but reports are coming in that Slovakia actually blocked 18th package of sanctions of Brussels or EU against Russia, and Hungary was assisting in that. Good for them, by the way, because if 18th package of sanction will be adopted, then first of all, it's European economies that are going to suffer, right? Economies that are still cooperating with Russia, receiving energy from Russia, some other goods, and Slovakia and Hungary definitely are among them. So I can understand why these countries and some others also might oppose this constant process of sanctioned packages that Brussels is generating, but at this point almost from thin air. But yet again, can they withstand pressure from globalists? That's the big question, isn't it? They might oppose now, tomorrow, day after, but I guess eventually, they will bow down. And maybe not today and not tomorrow, but give it another week or two, and you will how should I say it, adopt 18th package of sanctions, and immediately will begin work on 19th one, literally immediately. It's crazy, man. And yet again, first of all, dear friends, they are harming European economies and the citizens of EU member states. First of all, because Russia already demonstrated that it can withstand this Western pressure. And nowadays, by the way, when there is any news on sanctions or something, I mean, natural reaction from us is, now really, like, no one really cares. Literally no one, right? So I can understand why European countries are more and more active to oppose this madness of the Brussels, but I think they are still too weak to go all the way. At some point, they will bow down, as they did during their previous 17th packages of sanctions, where those sanctions were adopted. That's my take, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe Budapest and Bratislava really had enough, and that they are sick and tired of Brussels so much so that they will just, they will go all the way without compromises. I don't know. I don't believe in that, but is it possible? Maybe. RT, meanwhile, is reporting that President of Russian Federation spoke about theft of Russian assets in the West. So any attempts by the West to seize Russia's frozen reserves would set off an irreversible shift towards the regional payment systems, which would ultimately benefit the global economy. President Vladimir Putin has stated an estimated 300 billion worth of Russian sovereign assets were frozen by the West following the escalation of the Ukraine conflict. In February 2022, around 2 billion euros or $209 billion is held by Euroclear, a Brussels-based clearinghouse. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has repeatedly called for the funds to be tapped for Ukraine's reconstruction, although some member states have pushed back on their idea. But there is a constant talk in the West about how they are going to steal our money, Putin said at the Eurasian Economical Forum in Minsk on Thursday. As soon as it happens, the shift towards regional payment systems will accelerate and undoubtedly become irreversible, he said, adding that ultimately that would be a good thing for the global economy. Maybe it's even worth paying the price for that, the president argued. Putin added upon further reflection that the term theft was insufficient. Theft is the secretive taking of their property. This is open. This is a robbery. He said, we are determined to continue strengthening our own financial and settlement instruments in this regard, Putin stressed. And by the way, West is already stealing these frozen assets, right? Reports are coming in that most likely they stole not just profits from these frozen assets, but a significant part of this main part of assets too. And that's why a number of high-ranking officials in the West were saying that, European economies will bear burden for what they did, because they will, at one point, they will have to pay back to Russia all these assets that they already took, right? Officially, they are not. Brussels is not acknowledging theft or robbery of their frozen assets. They are acknowledging theft of or robbery of profits from it. But yet again, I mean, number of experts are saying that actually these frozen assets were stolen too, significant part of it. But in any case, I think Moscow is basically come to the terms that these assets, will never return to Russia, probably, and therefore, and that's why Russian president is saying that, you know what, maybe this is even gooder if this development will further intensify our combined work on alternative financial and the banking system, regional or the global, which is absolutely necessary. And by the way, how many times I did spoke about necessity of creation of financial and the banking system that will be alternative in this world, alternative to the weaponized Western financial and the banking system. This is a crucial topic, and it is good that Russian president is talking about it and using his influence to persuade countries, not just in Eurasian Economical Union, but also in the BRICS, to overcome whatever differences we have and to actually do something about this stuff, right? Because this world, not just Eurasian Economical Union, not just Shanghai Cooperation Organization, not just BRICS, by the way, BRICS Plus, but whole world, by the way, whole world needs alternative financial and the banking system, including people and the companies in the collective West, right? Because nobody, literally nobody in US or in European countries or in Australia or in Canada or New Zealand or anywhere from collective West, nobody there is safe, right? And regimes can take their assets like that instantly. They can freeze their assets without explanations. They can take from them everything. And this is not exaggeration, by the way. We have already seen that, isn't it? You remember truckers protesting in Canada? What Canadian government did? Government that was pretending to be for people and democratic and so on. What they did, by the way, they force financial institutions to shut down bank accounts of the people, right? And I cannot give you a number of people that were affected by this, but these Canadians were unable to have access to their own hard-earned money. So this is happening, right? So everybody, by the way, not just BRICS Plus and the rest of the world outside of collective West, even collective West, businesses and their residents need alternative financial and the banking system. This is so clear, by the way, so obvious. I struggle to understand why BRICS is taking so long to build the system, alternative to the SWIFT and alternative to the currencies, Western, reserve currencies. It's not supposed to be this difficult, man. Am I correct, dear friends? Anyways, when it comes to crazy actions of the collective West, by the way, we have this report from TASS News Agency that the European Commission has proposed creating a Western alternative to the BRICS. Wow, isn't it? West is using its influence to derail certain processes inside the BRICS, unfortunately, and this is one of the reasons why we still don't have alternative world reserve currency from BRICS, and that's why we don't yet have alternative financial and the banking system. And well, West is not happy. They want to push further, and they want to create an alternative to the BRICS itself. Let me give you some details on that. So European Commission has proposed creating a European-Asian trade bloc based on the free trade principles and informed World Trade Organization and reformed World Trade Organization norms that would become Western competitor to the BRICS. This was stated by the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen at the press conference following the EU summit. And we have a quote here, I presented a very attractive and interesting idea at the summit that the comprehensive and the progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership CPTPP countries, that is, the Asian countries want a structured cooperation with the EU, and the EU wants a structured cooperation with them. We could consider starting the restructure the WTO with an understanding of what exactly needs to be reconsidered in the WTO and not repeating the mistakes of the past, to show the world that free trade between a large number of countries is possible based on rules, because together the EU and the CPTPP are a force. The head of the European Commission said, I mean, what a name, CPTPP. Okay. Who's going to join this crap, by the way? European Union already demonstrated the principles that this organization is created. Take a look at the EU, by the way. It's backward place, isn't it? In many ways. And after all, Eurosceptics are on rise for a reason, isn't it? Because people don't want people in Italy, ordinary people, by the way, or even businesses, and in some cases even governments, by the way, in EU member states, in Italy, I don't know, Poland or Hungary, Slovakia, Spain, or whichever, they don't want some unelected bureaucrats from Brussels to tell them what is good and what is wrong, how they should live their lives, how should they do their business, and so on, right? And as I said, man, EU is definitely looks like a backward version of the USSR. Compared to EU, USSR was really like progressive. Some may argue it was a quite progressive and successful institution. or the Union. EU is not success story at all, and they want to drag countries from global south now in some new organization to establish control over these countries, additional control, because independent countries not going to join no EU initiative, by the way. I don't believe in that, but countries that are under heavy influence of the West, yeah, they might. And which countries are those in the global south, in Asia? And Japan and South Korea already are part of Western world, right? And hostile towards the rest of the world. They've been seen as hostile to the rest of the world because the fact that they are operating along with their Western elites, alongside Western elites. Which other country? Philippines, by the way, is turned into like a spearhead by US against China. Taiwan, which is not even a country, by the way. Taiwan is a part of China. Which else? Do they talk about Australia and New Zealand, Oceania, and some island nations there? Who else gonna join this CPTPP? No one gonna join this nonsense, by the way. I think, but what we can predict for sure with certainty is that collective West will, of course, continue their attempts to derail integration processes inside the BRICS. That's for sure. They're not going to create a true alternative to the BRICS. They can't. They are in no position to do so. Their reputation is tarnished, absolutely, right? But they still have, unfortunately, enough influence in this world to, including on some BRICS members, by the way, which is very unfortunate, but including on some BRICS members, so that they will try to manipulate this organization from within and derail certain processes. And unfortunately, they are doing it quite successfully, I would say, because yet again, how many years BRICS exists, right? And how many years there are constant talk about necessity to create alternative financial and banking system, and where is the progress? Where is the progress? There is nothing there, right? Nothing, just talk. And this is too bad, man. And this is related, I believe, to sabotage activity of their collective West and their clients, let's say, that join the BRICS, or their partners, let's say that way. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe some serious talk is needed inside the BRICS. And if any one country wants to get out, then why not? I mean, if any one country wants to go other way, join this globalist initiative, CPTPP, okay, just go and do it. But we should not allow, man, sabotage inside the BRICS, right? It's not good for nobody. And well, let's continue, man. Let's continue. RT is reporting that well, Russian defense minister continues his meetings with his colleagues from Shanghai Cooperation Organization members, and he had a meeting with the Indian defense minister. So Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov has stressed the importance of Russia-India partnership, noting that Moscow long-term friendship with New Delhi extends into a military technical sector. Belousov held talks with his Indian counterpart, Rajnath Singh, on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Qingdao, China on Thursday. India is an exceptionally important strategic partner for us, for Russia, and I agree 100%, by the way, million percent. Traditional friend, including in the military and military technical spheres. Belousov said at their meeting. Sinker stated, we had insignificant, insightful deliberation on boosting India-Russian defense ties. India's military currently relies heavily on Russian origin equipment, with around 60% of its arsenal being of Russian make. During the recent conflict with Pakistan, the effectiveness of India's air defenses was boosted by the Russian-made S-400 mobile surface-to-air missile systems, which was recently highlighted by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who praised its performance during the standoff. This is also good news, by the way. Obviously, I never had no doubts about effectiveness of Russian air defense systems. But it's not just air defense system itself, isn't it? You need to have a personnel that can operate with these systems, right? And this is complex systems. It's not as easy as, I don't know, drive the car, right? And I'm glad that India has experts in this field, and they operated with S-400s on the top level, and they are happy with performance of the system, and that's a good news for India, and that's a good news for Russia. And India itself, by the way, is definitely, I always say, India is a strategic partner for Russia, and we should stay as a strategic partner forever. It's in the interest of both nations, 100%, by the way. Just take a look at the map. I mean, and everything will become clear. Nothing to be said about historical ties and relationships, right? But take a look at the map, by the way. This is India, right? And this is Russia. And there are several countries in between. And one of these countries are China, right? Major economy in this world, not just in the global south, but in this world. According to PPP index, by the way, China is way ahead of US even, right? On GDP index, which is not as accurate, some experts are arguing, US is still number one economy, but based on PPP index, China is number one economy, right? Purchasing power parity index. So yes, geography, by the way, explains quite a lot. Nothing to be said about traditional historical friendly relationships between Russia and India. So yes, we should maintain a strategical partnership forever. And I really hope New Delhi will not allow globalists and collective West, right, Western ruling class, to influence its stance, influence its relationships with the BRICS member states and with the emerging multipolar world, because India is very much needed for success of the multipolar world, by the way. India is absolutely crucial, right? So I really hope West would not be able to derail relationships between India and the other BRICS member states. I hope so. Few more news, dear friends, and that will be it for a news segment. Then let's have like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, like chat, community chat. TASS News Agency is reporting that MS-21 aircraft with the Russian systems began certification tests. Prototype of their medium-range MS-21 passenger aircraft with the Russian systems. It's a completely Russian build, by the way. No foreign equipment or technology is used in this plane. So certification tests has begun. Rostec reported the first flight under the program took place from the Gromov Flight Research Institute airfield in Zhukovsky, where the radio communication equipment was tested. The start of the certification test is an important stage of their import substitution program. In order to obtain the type certification for the fully domestic MS-21, it is planned to perform about 220-230 test flights in order to be 100% sure of the safety of our future passengers, said Vitaly Narishkin, chief designer of the MS-21 at Yakovlev. His words are quoted in Rostec and Yakovlev Engineering Bureau. During the Soviet era, by the way, these bureaus were called ODKB, right? Yakovlev is, of course, famous bureau for many unique planes that were designed there, military and civilian planes, by the way. And some people actually are arguing that technology that is used, implemented in a US F-35 plane, by the way, was actually taken from Yak-141 plane, right? That did not enter service, by the way, in Russian Air Force, but technology of vertical takeoff, when engine is turning from a vertical position to, where nozzle is down to give some lift to the plane. I mean, many systems were taken from Yak-141 by Lockheed Martin. Some experts are arguing on that. It might be true, isn't it? But anyways, Yakovlev is a famous engineering bureau, of course, and I'm happy to see that they are still in business, and maybe they are not making that many military aircrafts nowadays, but at least they are in a business, and who knows, in 5-10 years time, they might actually produce some fifth or sixth generation fighter jets or bombers or something like that, not just civilian planes. Anyways, I think this is a good success, by the way. This is a good success for Russian aero industry. MS-21, Superjet. There are also other planes, by the way, that are completely Russian builder based on Russian technology, Russian know-how, and I believe this plane is going to bring a huge success to Russian industry. The Russian aviation is going back on the world market, and big time, by the way. Give it to 5-10 years, and the Russian civilian aircrafts gonna fly all over the world again, as it was during the Soviet Union. And by the way, a couple of more news. TASS News Agency is reporting that, according to a Russian MP, senior MP, Central Bank of Russia might lower the key rate at the next meeting of the board of the directors in July. This was stated by State Duma, chairman of the State Duma Committee on Financial Markets, Anatoly Aksakov, and I hope he is correct, because it is time, man. Economical bloc of Russian government did quite a good job calming their economy a little bit. That was overheating, by the way. And that is one of the reasons why interest rate is that high. It's on 21% right now, I believe. And I hope it is time now to accelerate economy step by step to avoid overheating, but to give some stimulus to economy, and the dropping interest rate, not even for one, but on 2% for next every month. For next several months, will do the job. 21% is too high. I think 8-12% should be max, right? And we're gonna get there in a few years' time. Not now, obviously, but at least processes underway, according to Russian senior MP. Hello everyone, I hope you find informative and useful this short clip
from main news update, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. It might help to deal with the algorithm and reach wider audience. And if you like my work in general and want to support to save this media project, you can assist through several ways. You can donate to this project through PayPal platform or Boosty, also with the crypto currencies, or you can subscribe to my Patreon page and page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on regular basis. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everyone who already helped and continues to support. Thank you.